Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
It is an enormously consequential night in Washington tonight, Jay. I just have to let you know.
It is very true. This is day 2 of the hush money trial in New York, specifically for Donald Trump.
That's not what I was referring to at all. The Capitals are playing in their last game of the season, and if they win, they're in the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about. It's literally on the other screen right now. They have 3 minutes left. The game is tied, and the team they're playing has to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So you're probably going to see a pulled goalie in a tie game. Oh, you did? They pulled the goalie, and the Caps scored. The Caps are going to the playoffs. You're getting my live reaction in real time. This is fantastic.
Hey, there you go. In the first 60 seconds of the show. Boom. All right, so Brad, you should be in a good mood.
I'm in a fantastic mood.
All right,
better mood than Donald Trump. I can promise you that, and I'm certainly more alert than Donald Trump is. I can also promise you that.
Yo, that picture of him is fucking crazy. Look, Donald Trump. This is day 2 of the hush money trial in New York. This is the first criminal trial that he has had to be at, right? So, obviously the last one was a civil trial as far as him, pumping up his valuations of his businesses, or excuse me, of his properties. That did not end well, and we should probably talk about that at some point because that's still in a weird fucking place. Then obviously before that there was the E. Jean Carroll case that was also civil. But this is the first criminal case that, if I had to guess, and I think you would tend to agree with me, homeboy is definitely getting convicted of this one. Like, this is not a question. This one's pretty slam dunk.
It would be pretty difficult based on the facts that we know are in evidence to acquit him. I mean, like the best I don't. From what I understand, even his attorneys don't think it's possible that he could be acquitted. Like the most they're hoping for is just to get a hung jury, possibly. That's what he's basically playing for, which is not a great strategy.
No, it's not. And look, he was, some of his devotees in the House are literally like begging people, like, if you're in New York, try to get on the jury, which is tampering.
Jury tampering, I have to say that's very, very illegal. So.
Yeah. Try to fuck the case up. Excuse me. Like, that's not how that works. Yeah, look, they're desperate. It's funny because if he actually is found guilty of this, like, would he be able to vote for himself? I don't think so.
Well, technically, no, at least not in New York. I don't know I don't know what voting felonies like. Does that bar you across the country from voting if you get convicted in a different jurisdiction than the one you voted in? I have no fucking idea. No clue.
I just think it's funny. I just think it's hilarious. So I actually had a weird conversation with someone online today where they were saying, well, this case is all bullshit. And I'm like, it's all bullshit? Are you sure? I was like, if the case is bullshit, let's just take your thought process, which is not a very good one. If the case is bullshit, why did Michael Cohen go to jail?
Yeah.
Do you think Michael Cohen is innocent? Because Michael Cohen would tell you that Michael Cohen is not innocent. Incidentally. It's really weird. And I get making the argument about the E. Jean Carroll case, right? Like, if you're a conservative or a MAGA person, I get making the argument in the other New York case as far as no, what he did wasn't technically illegal. I can understand the arguments. But you can't call Michael Cohen a piece of shit and deserve to go to jail, and Donald Trump is also innocent in this case. It doesn't make sense. And so, look, to recap, he's not on trial because he paid off Stormy Daniels. He's not on trial for sleeping with Stormy Daniels. He's on trial for paying off Stormy Daniels and then writing the $130,000 off as a business expense, right?
Yes.
Because, and keep in mind, falsifying business documents is only really a misdemeanor, right? Unless it gets super crazy, it's only really a misdemeanor. But defrauding the American public when it comes to the election, because what you were doing is you're trying to influence the election by saying, no, this didn't happen. You pay her and Karen McDougal off so they don't come out with their stories, and thus affecting your campaign, right? That's the illegality, right? It's not that he slept with her. It's not that he lied to his wife. It's not that he paid the hush money. Because I've seen people say, oh, well, Bill Clinton paid people off when he was sleeping around. Yeah, but he didn't use campaign money or write it off as a business expense to hide in politics. And
he also didn't do it in the middle of an election either.
Right. So, yeah, I need people to truly understand why he's on trial. And like I think it bears explanation because I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, well, paying a hush money thing, why is that a big deal?" That's not why he's actually on trial. He's on.
Yeah, again, it's not as one man famously said, it's the cover up that's what gets you in trouble. So
yeah, far more than the actual quote unquote crime. So yeah, look, it's not looking good. It's already going off the rails. Because Trump,
there's been so much that's happened in 2 days
and
in this fucking case already.
And actually, even before 2 days, right? Like, because he was talking shit, he was going wild before he even got in the courtroom. But now the Manhattan judge, what is his name? Judge Juan something.
Marchand.
Yeah, thank you.
Juan Marchand.
New York Justice Juan Marchand was like, listen, I will not. Trump was audibly commenting about a juror and gesticulating towards her, and Judge Marchand said, "I will not tolerate it. I will not have any jurors intimidated in this courtroom. I want to make that crystal clear." He's doing the same playbook he did in the other New York case. Yeah. I am amazed that Republicans and Trump very specifically have not figured out that winning in the court of public opinion to your MAGA people does not matter in a courtroom. You can stand up and bang your chest and do all this shit, but bro, they will still put you in jail. Like, it's really weird. I don't understand the argument here.
By the way, that's just today. Like, in the first day, the prosecution asked the judge to instruct Trump to take down 3 social media posts where he was talking shit on witnesses against him in this case, like talking shit on Michael Cohen and people like that. They fined him for these, and they asked the judge to jail him next time he violates the gag order that was put in place. He's out here fucking yelling at witnesses. He's out here falling asleep in court, which to me is, like I said, is it consequential? No. I find it hilariously funny considering this is the guy who loves to call, Sleepy Joe, low energy, like all this other fucking bullshit that he ascribes onto other people. Yet this man can't even fucking make it through an 8-hour court day.
Look, I'm gonna point this out, and then I'm gonna tell you how much of a hypocrite I am. I did enjoy the nicknames that people were coming up with. My favorite being Don Snorleone, which I personally enjoyed. I know it was funny. However, I have definitely been on a jury, and I definitely fell asleep where another juror had to elbow me because I started snoring.
Yeah, the fact that he fell asleep is not what we're making fun of him for. The fact that he fell asleep when he likes to talk shit on everybody else.
Right.
We're making fun of him for. Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
apparently, so like Maggie Haberman was the one that reported this.
Yeah, I saw that
during one of the breaks, and reportedly, as he was leaving the courtroom yesterday, he was like fucking shooting daggers at her when he was leaving. Like, how fucking dare you?
You fucking bitch! I'll get you and your little dog too. Look, that's his homegirl. Like, she is partially responsible for this nightmare. Now, she would tell you, like, look, she's just doing the reporting, but she was so like weirdly obsessed with him as a personality that
still is. I mean, that's still her beat, basically, is Donald Trump. So
yeah, I mean, look, she's probably making a shit ton of money because of it.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, look, she's also like, she's not your friend, dude. Like, if she thinks she can get a scoop, she's gonna stab you right in the fucking chest. Right. She does not give a shit. She's no one's friend. Like, that's the thing, is she's no one's friend. Which, in fairness, is kind of what you want a journalist to be, right? Like, you do. Not that I think Maggie Haberman is like some amazing journalist, but because again, I think the way she does reporting, it feels like she does a lot of like weird personality admiring of Trump. Like, I can't fucking believe this guy. He's so amazing. And I'm like, this guy's a fascist and he's going to kill us all. Like, like maybe like be a little bit more, discerning in the way that you write things. But at the same time, I've heard interviews with her and she's pretty straightforward. Like, no, like, I think this guy's like kind of fucked up. Right. Like, but I'm like, cool. Thanks for saying that on a podcast no one heard. But when you write it down, a lot of people read that shit and then they sort of take these little snippets of what you say. This is like, that's kind of how I see her. But yeah, look, it's not going well. I feel like violating a gag order immediately and being told not to intimidate or, scare witnesses and shit is not the kind of MO you really want to be putting out there on day 2. Like it feels like a bad precedent. But look, I mean, let's get real. Donald Trump hires the best people, Brad. He does. Donald Trump's lawyer, known genius, Alina Habba, has been criticized by legal experts and anybody who understands basic things for suggesting the judge in the New York trial is not following, quote, due process, Brad, after he rejected the former president's request to attend an upcoming Supreme Court hearing. So what is this about? Trump there's a Supreme Court hearing that's just opening arguments about the immunity case, right? She's saying because he's not allowed to go to that because he is on trial, that trial has not started, right? Like it's not officially started yet. Because he's not allowed to go to that, the judge in New York is denying him his ability of due process. But he's had it's a trial that's in like quote unquote in progress, right? Like it is moving through the sort of the chain of command. I think she thinks due process is only when you're in the courtroom. That's not what due process is. So she fundamentally is misunderstanding a thing that's her job is to understand.
Yeah, in fact, it's not uncommon for the plaintiff in a case that goes before the Supreme Court to not be there because it's just the lawyers that are arguing it.
Yeah, that's it. He doesn't need to be there at all. Here's a quote from her. Quote, not even allowing a person due process, the right to sit in front of the Supreme Court and hear the case that determines many lawsuits that are currently against President Trump on grounds for immunity. By the way, that's a wild statement. Like determining the many lawsuits that are yeah, well, you're not wrong about that. Arkansas-based attorney Shane Etheridge posted on Twitter, quote, watching an oral argument isn't due process. They just throw words out there and hope somebody is dumb enough to accept it as a correct statement.
Because like if he did go to that, he would literally just be sitting in the gallery not fucking saying anything. Like he wouldn't be there to testify. He wouldn't be there to give statements in front of the court. His lawyers would. That's it.
Yeah, it's just opening argument.
That's the only people that get to talk to the justices. You don't get to hear like fucking victim statements from the like we're past that. You got that in the first round of this.
Yeah. Ron Filipkowski, a former federal prosecutor and frequent Trump critic, wrote, quote, this is not what due process means. Are we sure she went to law school? That's taught like week 1. Jesus. Georgia State University College of Law professor Anthony Michael Crease added, quote, one would hope a lawyer who would know that due process does not include attending an oral argument at the United States Supreme Court. Responding to criticism, Habba told Newsweek, quote, having the right to attend court proceedings when you are a defendant in a case which hinges on such critical decision, such as immunity, is a right no one should be deprived of. Again, it is an opening argument. You don't need to be there. Like, you don't need to be there for this. So it is a very stupid point from a very stupid person. Look, if you've never seen that clip when Alina Habba was asked, not 20 years ago, like 3 months ago, would she rather be pretty or intelligent? She said pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was a real answer. She wasn't on Double Dare or some shit. That was a real answer. Like, she gave a real answer.
look, if this is the best that he can scrape together as a legal defense team, you hate to see it.
Here's the thing, though. I don't hate to see it. Good. Like, dude, you're going down in flames, and like, you ain't even like fucking swinging. Like, you got lawyers just with their arms tied behind their fucking backs, like just diving in. Like, it's just crazy how incompetent.
Did you hear also that Trump's having a sad because the judge might not let him go to Barron's graduation in several weeks?
Yeah, I heard about that, but apparently, like, that's kind of bullshit. Like, he didn't deny it. He just said, like, he
hasn't made a decision yet.
Right,
yeah,
but I'm pretty sure. But I had seen other places, so I don't know. I don't go to Barron's school, but I'm pretty sure Barron's graduation is on a Friday. He's not in court on Fridays, so like they came on there like they're not letting him go. It's like but it's not the day he would be in court. He's just like, I don't really give a shit about my kids, so if I could just make an excuse about it.
Yeah. Also, don't maybe allegedly commit crimes, and then you won't have to be in court during your son's graduation. Yeah.
Stop doing crimes.
I don't feel that's a exception that we've made for any normal criminal defendant. So why the fuck should this guy get it? Oh, that's right, because he's rich and white.
Right. Exactly. And by the way, let's keep it 100. He don't give a fuck about his kids. Any of them. Okay. Except for the one he wants to have sex with. And the other part of that is, what are you going to do at graduation? You going to sit next to your wife and smile and talk? She can't stand you. She don't want you to. She probably called the judge at home. It's like, can you make sure he's there that day? I mean, that's one of the funniest stories.
It's wild that we haven't seen her around him. It is wild that as he's going through these literal trials and tribulations, and as he's on the stump and fundraising and giving his rallies, she's been nowhere. No. She's been nowhere at all. And somehow Republicans are like, this isn't a big deal. Like they're the big, the big family values party, right? But they're just like, oh, it's totally normal that someone's wife, who doesn't actually do anything, who's just a socialite, isn't around. With her husband.
I find it hilarious. I just find it hilarious. Like they should come out with books where they replace Waldo with Melania. Like, because at this point, like, where is she? Like, where is she? She's out of here, man. She doesn't give a shit. The last thing that one woman wants to do is stand next to this piece of fucking trash as they go, hey, and then he had sex with this woman and then this other woman and he paid them money. Like, no, like, she don't want to be there. Look, you can tell she doesn't even want anything to do with the re-election, dude. She's like, I don't give a fuck.
I wonder if Letitia James seizes Trump Tower, she'll let Melania still stay in the penthouse.
Oh no, I think she should stay rent free. Like, that's the one stipulation. I get to take Trump.
Do I have to leave? Madam Attorney General? Like,
nah, girl, you got it. Don't even.
Who the fuck are we gonna rent this place out to anyway? It's gaudy as shit.
Yeah, like this is your aesthetic, okay? Like, you got it. Like, we saw your Christmas design; it was pretty terrible. So yeah, no, she's like, nah, no thanks. I don't want anything to do with this. And look, rightfully so. I get it. All right, my favorite story. It's my favorite story every week. I have now decided that I message Brad and Andy when I see that the stock has dropped every morning, and I send them a screenshot from my Robinhood account. So Donald Trump's DJT, the Trump Media and Technology Group, what a joke. They made two wildly ridiculous moves this week. One, they said, hey, look, shit's not going well. So what we're going to do is we're going to release another 21.5 million with an M more shares.
Always a great move when you're trying to combat a plummeting stock price, is just to delude the marketplace even more. So.
Yeah. And look, it was sort of bound to happen. It's just funny to watch it happen so quickly. So they dropped another 21.5 million shares into the public for people to buy because they are trying to keep the stock afloat. When they did that, the second they announced it on Monday, it was like, tumble. Like 12 percentage points. Like they were like, this isn't good. Then they came out, I believe today, and they were like, we are announcing live TV streaming on the platform, everyone. And then the stock tumbled 14%. Truth Social will, quote, offer content that has been canceled, is at risk of cancellation, or is being suppressed on other platforms and services, the company says. It will be family-friendly content and other content that nobody wants to watch. So cool. I guess that's
famously the way to bolster your fledgling media company is to get a bunch of shows that no one's watching elsewhere.
It's a solid move. I assume this announcement was a real boon to Kevin Sorbo's career and other people like him who make nothing but fucking Christian garbage. Not even good.
I wonder if Rob Schneider will get like a weekly, like a daily comedy show on the Trump Media Network.
Maybe him and Jim Brewer, they can do a fucking double set of two shitty comics that nobody cares about anymore. Apparently Rob Schneider did some sort of conservative thing, and it was so bad he got booed off by them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Okay. So, yeah, Truth Media stock ended Tuesday down by 14%, closing out the trading day at $22.84 per share. By the way, they started at the height of the IPO at, I believe, like $76 and some change, and now they're down to $22.84. That brings the company's market capitalization to $3.12 billion, if you believe in that bullshit valuation, okay? Because that really needs to be put in quotes. Keep in mind, when it first hit IPO, they were saying that Trump's share of DJT stock was worth $5 billion. Now, what did I just read you? That brings the company's market capitalization to $3.12 billion. So what do you think his is? It's like probably about $1.2 billion. Again, if you believe that valuation, which I personally do not, because
Jay, you're missing some optimistic news here, though. Like apparently, the website had or the platform had 7.7 million total visits last month in the month of March.
It's got to be
That's not unique users, by the way. That's just total visits, period.
Not looking good, man. Not looking good.
No, I dare say not. Jay, you buying low this week on DJT?
No. Look, if I could just set my money on fire, sure, why not? Sounds like a great fucking idea. But yeah, look, it's a mess, right? This is just a complete mess over there. And I've seen where people apparently, which I think is absolutely insane, like MAGA loyalists are like emptying their entire 401ks and putting it into the stock. I'm like, dude, look, I love making fun of stupid people like I do, especially stupid conservatives. But even I'm like, come on, man, don't do that. Like, for the love of God, don't do that. No, I don't want them to do that because then I have to pay for these people when they're eating cat food in a couple of years. Because
that's true.
Like, no.
Wait, no, you don't. You're in Mexico. You're fine.
I still pay American taxes. I still pay federal taxes.
Just stay over there.
Look, that's where it's safe. Look, you're all coming down here too. Don't worry. Trump gets in office. Don't fucking come knocking on my door, motherfucker. It's closed. Get out of here. Beat it. So yeah,
see, I'm proud of you that you still carry a torch for these people. I couldn't. I find it hilarious that
no. Relax. You're out of pocket. I don't give a shit about them. I care about what my federal tax dollars are, where they're going. Okay, this is a purely selfish, disgusting capitalist perspective. I don't want to pay for those people. Right? Because that's what they do to us. So yeah, no, I actually don't want people to do that. Like I really don't. You're gonna lose your shirt, man. Like you don't see where this is going. I saw some it was like a young conservative guy. He was like in his 30s. He's like, I liquefied all of my assets and put it all into DJT. Cry harder, libs. I'm like, no, I want it to happen to him. You got enough time to cry and maybe recoup a little bit. It should happen.
Oh man,
to you.
I hope
you're an
I hope you screen cap that one. And,
it's on Reddit, dude. I'm gonna find it. Yeah, I'll
fantastic.
find it. Like, dude,
Fantastic.
Do me a favor. Post what you have now, and then in 6 months, could you post it? I'd love to.
Dude, that's a seismic diss you. Just waiting,
bro. This is just my speculation that stock will be sub $17 within a week from today. By next Tuesday, I think it'll be sub 17. And apparently, once it hits like sub 17, like they're in a world of fucking trouble. And I think it will go lower significantly.
And as you and I were talking about earlier today, like because you were predicting it's going to end up at somehow less than $10 a share, which is crazy. But even at $10 a share, it's still wildly overvalued based on what they're actually bringing to the table right now.
It's 100% overvalued. I mean, look, Reddit right now. Reddit went IPO within around
the same time,
like within a week or something before, right? Reddit is sitting at like $41 a share. Now, say what you want about Reddit, it is a real stock. Like it's consistently
it's a real platform.
It's a real platform.
That has real users,
tons of people, right? So like they debuted at their high was right at the same as what DJT was, right? Like just under $75, $74.90. That was the high on the day that they went IPO. And they're down, and it's supposed to drop, right? But they're down to $41, which is a reasonable drop, right? Trump is literally just about half of that already. And again, the puts haven't started coming in yet, right? All the people who are betting against this, betting for this to fail. None of that has happened yet. Like that's just starting to happen. And every time they announce something, it drops. Because everyone knows who is playing this, besides the MAGA faithful, they know it's bullshit. You just diluted everyone who owns stock in that company significantly by dumping that 21.5 million shares. Like that should have come 6 months from now. Not right now. Not within. It literally hasn't been public for a month yet. They're fucked, man. They're fucked. I truly think it's going to end up in single digits. I really do. And that's going to be fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So, best of luck. Don't put your retirement in there, man. That's a bad idea.
That reminds me. I should probably reach out to my 401k and be like, hey, just whatever you do, stay away from that stock.
Yeah, don't do that. Not trying to just burn my money. Get out of here. They're like, sir, we're a professional outfit. We would.
Like I said, the professionals at T. Rowe Price would never. Bet on such a ridiculous thing.
Sir, we don't invest in meme stocks here like that. Yes. Don't worry, sir. We put all your money into GameStop. It should be fine. Oh no, we just want you to hold for the next 30 years, and it'll probably work out.
Yeah.
So next up, Republicans aim to stop non-citizen voting in federal elections, which is weird because it's already illegal. So Mike Johnson went down to Mar-a-lago.
He went down to kiss the ring.
Oh, he did. He went down to Mar-a-Lago and he did a joint press conference with Trump, which is hilarious. The Speaker of the House and a guy who's not in politics right now at all.
He's in politics. He just doesn't have he's running for president. So
this looks like a bitch move. It looks like a bitch move.
Well, it's a bitch move because this is quite transparently an attempt by Mike Johnson to shore up his support in the House caucus by standing by their man, essentially.
Okay,
that's what this was. That's all this was.
You think
you didn't think that immediately? That's the first thing I thought about. He's saddling up next to Trump because he doesn't want to get fucking 86. Yeah.
You think that's gonna work?
Oh no! Literally the day after this, Marjorie Taylor-Greene was like, "Yeah, I don't care that Trump stood by his side and doesn't think we should vote to expel him." So
yeah. And look, more on that later. But no, I don't see. Yeah. I didn't think that because again, Marjorie Taylor-Greene is a hardcore Trump guy or woman, and she has always been gunning for Mike Johnson. She didn't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
That being said, no. The first thing I thought was I thought it was just Trump kind of flex. I guess I never thought about Mike Johnson's position in this. I just thought about Trump's position as like hand on the shoulders of the Speaker of the House, like I run.
Oh, it could be both things. It could be both things. Like I'm sure Trump was happy to do it.
Right. Yeah. No, but I was just like so focused on Trump's perspective in this. Now I wasn't thinking about Johnson at all because I guess I see him as that insignificant.
Well, he literally is that insignificant. And again, like Trump probably thinks he was doing him a favor because I'm pretty sure like if you asked Donald Trump about Mike Johnson and asked for his candid comments, he probably thinks Mike Johnson's a fucking weirdo. I mean, again, this is the dude who his son, like, you know, tracks his masturbation habits.
I mean,
so
who doesn't, right, Brad? Who doesn't? me. I doesn't.
Yeah, like literally, like everybody except for Mike Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's so okay. So they came out and they were like, "Listen, we are going to stop illegals from voting, right? Like we're going to stop illegal immigrants from voting." Quote: "We cannot wait for widespread fraud to occur, especially when the threat of fraud is growing with every single illegal immigrant that crosses the southern border." But here's the thing. They don't, though. Like, it's just not a thing. And the little bit of election fraud that happens in the United States is very much an internal issue. Also, we're really lopsidedly Republican. It's not. Yeah, it's not
usually perpetrated by conservatives.
Yeah, almost always. So, like this NPR article goes on to say the myth that immigrants are exerting undue influence on American elections has been floating around the United States for more than 100 years. Yeah, this is a fucking.
I mean, here's the thing though. Like when you're on the wrong side of most of the nationally popular issues, what else can you do but make up issues that you want people to vote around?
Yeah, it's just general nonsense, right? Like you said, they don't have any policies. They're not on the right side of history on damn near anything. So yeah, you just make the shit up. Look,
it's funny, and because Mike Johnson also pointed out the fact that he thinks that he's like, one of the reasons that the Biden administration doesn't do anything about the border is because they want to turn people crossing the border into voters. And the irony is, as we said before, if Republicans weren't just like blatantly racist as a party, they would actually get a really high percentage of the Hispanic vote in this country just based on how Hispanics demographically vote.
Yeah, just because they tend to be more conservative, right? Like as far as religion goes, just like black folks. If you could let go of that sweet racism, you would garner. You could probably get 20%.
Because a lot of the migrants that are fleeing their countries are fleeing left-wing governments, and they don't want to vote for more left-wingers generally.
Right, and look, and those are sort of extreme, sort of the extreme left, but also, I mean, they're also escaping shit like I know very personally, someone who is in the United States, and they were fleeing their home country because of gang violence. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could probably guess the country. I mean, it's probably the worst gang violence in the world. Right. So they were doing the same. So this idea that you could garner these votes, but they refuse because if they move away from the racism vote to court Latinos and more black folks, they will lose the racist vote of white people. Because those white people are like, I need my racism, like I need my morning coffee. And so if they're not getting that sort of white racism appeased, then they're going to get pissed and they're going to go elsewhere, or they're just not going to vote. And that's for Republicans. That's literally the toss up. Like, do we try to court black and Latin folks, even though like our party is dying and we absolutely need to survive, or do we stick with the horse that we know? Because if we don't, we're fucked anyway. So, and here's the thing. They're fucked coming and going. So good, right? Like it is actually the racism that is killing them. So
it's also just like the whole concept behind this is also just a wild thought process to begin with anyway, because like not to say that one person's vote is not powerful, because it is, but in the aggregate, the vote of one person is not, it's a data point, right? Like it's movements that sway elections. So imagine like being someone who's in the country illegally and is like, I'm going to put everything on the line so that I can go cast a ballot for dog catcher in my, like that's not going to happen.
Right. And that's what the article does a good job of. It's like, you are allowed, non-citizens are allowed in certain municipalities in certain states. Not every state and not every state race, but in certain states, in certain municipalities, they are in fact allowed to vote. And like these like immigrants are like, that sounds cool, but like to risk it all? Nah, fuck that. Like, no, I don't. Nice try, Joe Biden. Nice try. Now you're not going to get me, right? So they're untrusting of that, which makes sense. But yeah, this is a law that's already been on the books, and you're not doing anything. And look, this article does a really good job. They have a couple of quotes that I think are worth talking about. Ron Hayduck, an expert on non-citizen voting at San Francisco State University, says, quote, perception is 9/10 of reality. Putting the solution on the table suggests that there is a problem. And I think that's part of the point. These laws create a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, right? So conservatives will see that Mike Johnson and Trump did this press conference, or they'll hear about it, and they'll go, see, they're doing something to stop these illegals from voting. But they're not voting. So then they go, but then why would they make a law, bro? If it didn't need to be made, they wouldn't have suggested it. Like, but they would though. Like that's exactly the point.
Yeah. Because it distracts from all the other things that they're not making laws about that they probably should be, right? To protect things like abortion access and things of that nature.
Or making sure that you're not being gouged by corporations, right? They're like, we ain't got time for all that. Like, we're talking about a thing that
we've got to stop non-existent voter fraud. Like, it's literally all that we do.
Yeah.
The voter fraud, I mean, not the stopping of it. Like all we
look, nobody knows voter fraud like fucking Republicans know voter fraud. That's our bread and butter. There's another quote here from Raffensperger in Georgia. He says, quote, non-citizens are not voting in Georgia. That's it, right? Because he said earlier, it says Georgia's Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger had his office perform a citizenship audit in 2022 that found fewer than 2,000 suspected non-citizens registering to vote in the state over the prior 25 years. None were actually able to cast a ballot. So in 25 years, they found 2,000 suspected non-citizens who were registered to vote. They didn't vote. They were just registered to vote, and none of them actually voted. 2,000 people in 25 years. Wow. There's a pandemic worth of people voting who are illegal citizens. If that's true in Georgia, what do you think the number is across the country?
Oh, probably less than 25,000. Yeah.
50,000 over the last 25 years? Like, what are we talking about? Right? It's not 2,000 people per election over the last 25 years in total. It's a fucking joke. Right? And again, none of them actually cast a ballot. They were probably put on because they got registered somewhere or in something. And, there's certain states that allow you to get a driver's license if you're a non-citizen, right? I could easily see a system where it's like they take everybody who's got a driver's license and they throw them already onto
and they stick them on the rolls, yeah.
Right. Yep. And so it's like, oh, what's this person doing on here? Wait a minute. It's like, all right, we'll just take them off. And that person is not trying to vote because they didn't even realize they were on the fucking voter rolls, right?
Right.
Henceforth, a situation where non-citizens aren't casting a ballot even though they're on a voter roll. So, yeah, this is that perception is reality. That's exactly correct. Like, that's exactly what this is. They're just trying to create a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. All right, let's get into the shit. This is amazing. Representative Thomas Massie has joined, like Voltron, up with Marjorie Taylor-Greene to say that he is supporting the motion to vacate on Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Brad, how mad are you?
You hate to see it. And by hate, I mean love.
Yeah.
Of course Thomas Massie would be the guy to sign on to this. That dude's a fucking prick. Anyway, in the first place. He looks like a massive dweeb. But yeah, he's encouraging Mike Johnson to resign. And Mike Johnson said, I will not resign. So this will be really fun. I can't wait. Like it just a cacophony of bullshit for the Republican Party between Trump being in court, speaker drama going on, states wilding out over abortion stuff that they have to combat to. Like it's great. I love this.
I mean, look, this is actually very funny. I do enjoy Mike Johnson being like, I'm not going to retire, or I'm not going to resign. Bro, they're not asking you to resign. They're going to kick you out. Like, we're not asking you to step down. We're going to kick you. We're going to put our
they're trying to flex on him because they don't want to. They don't want a repeat of what happened last fall. They don't want the embarrassment of Kevin McCarthy getting voted to get ousted and then having to go through what was it 3-4 votes of speakers across 3 weeks or whatever it was, like however many people that got put up.
It was 3 weeks, 3 glorious weeks of complete incompetence from the Republicans. So
they don't want that. So they're trying to flex on him to resign, so that way. Like, it's not a situation where, when the speaker votes come up, like you have another 200 Republicans voting for Mike Johnson to stay speaker and a bunch of bullshit going on. So
you think they're going to pull the trigger on this?
Oh, I mean, with all the saber rattling that they've done so far, if they don't, they're going to look like pussies. So probably.
I think they're going to pull the trigger. Look, here's the thing. I think that Thomas Massie is... Marjorie Taylor-Greene is the person pushing that snowball down the hill. And she pushed it up to the top, right? She came from the lower part of the hill. She pushed it up to the top. And she's just been waiting. And poor Mike Johnson is standing in the fucking valley going, I'm not going to resign. And Thomas Massie is the first person to help get behind that snowball with Marjorie Taylor-Greene. And I think once you start seeing that fucking, like Massie's out there now, don't be surprised to see 2 or 3 more of them coming. And I think Massie and Marjorie Taylor-Greene are 2 very MAGA Freedom Caucus dingbats. And I think if they're telling you how they feel, there's a lot more of them that just have not been vocal about it.
Well, and here's the thing: we might see this move this week, because right now, if they were to hold the vote, I don't think that they would necessarily have enough, because there's enough opposition to doing it that Mike Johnson might be able to withstand it. But Mike Gallagher leaves on Friday. Like, Friday's his last day in Congress. Ooh. And that takes the majority down to 1, I think, the Republican majority. Mm-hmm. It does. And so that becomes like laser thin, essentially.
I feel like Hakeem is coming. Like, I feel like they're getting ready to blow their fucking majority up, and I think it's going to be disastrous. And I think they don't, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think they know what to do right now.
Yeah.
Like, they have made
because you have the problem is you have a sect within the Republican caucus that wants to call the shots. Yeah. But the problem is they don't actually have the membership, like the numbers to call the shots, because they are a fringe caucus within the House Republican caucus. So they want to wield power. So they're trying to wield power the only way that they can, which is this insanely stupid motion to vacate, which why McCarthy agreed to this, I have no fucking idea. I guess he had to become speaker.
Yeah,
but
after the 15th time, he was doing everything.
But and what they're trying to do is they're just trying to make sure, like, the next guy is like, you better do everything we tell you to do, otherwise you're next to walk the plank. Like it's basically like a fucking pirate ship mutiny with like the dumbest people leading the charge. Correct. Essentially.
Correct.
And it's all going to come down to this Ukraine-Israel thing, because now Mike Johnson's trying to split the baby and trying to bring forward Israel aid by itself, which he thinks will pass, and trying to put the Ukraine aid on the back burner. But the problem is that Democrats in the House aren't going to go along with that. I don't think Republicans in the Senate are going to go along with that. And the president already said that he wouldn't sign that either if it came across his desk. So what the fuck are you going to do?
He's going to be forced. He's going to be forced to put that Ukraine shit back in there. He's going to get a few Republicans in the House who are going to support it. He's going to get pass. All the Democrats will support it. It will pass. It will go to the Senate. They will pass it. And the second they fucking do, there's going to be a big old fat motion to vacate, fucking boom, let the ball roll. And I'm telling you, all those Freedom Caucus nutcases are going to be like, hell yeah, let's get his ass out of here. And before they realize what they've done, and they've torched the majority, the Democrats are going to vote in lockstep, and Hakeem Jeffries is going to end up being Speaker. Or it's going to be pretty goddamn close.
I don't see. I would find it. I would find it very unlikely that any Republican would vote for him. So I think what'll happen is you'll just have the Mike Johnson situation again, where you find the candidate that's least odious on both sides of the Republican House, basically, and that's the dude that gets to be there. And it'll probably watch it be again a guy that you've literally never heard of before in your entire life until he becomes Speaker of the House.
Look, I would agree with you, and normally I would agree with you, but my thing is, I'm remembering something that Gates said. And look, this week, by the way, Kevin McCarthy, fucking gloves off. Just take the fucking gloves off. It was incredible. Kevin McCarthy came out and was like, look, I got ousted by Speaker because one of the people wanted me to knock down an ethics investigation because he was fucking a 17-year-old kid. Maybe he did it. I don't know. Man, like he just was like fucking brutal. I was like, this is the type of politics. Like, this is hard-nosed politics. This is what I want to see. But I would agree with you normally, but I remember what Gates said, and I think Gates is actually correct here. He doesn't want to pull the trigger on this because he thinks that there are going to be some Republicans who would actually vote for Hakeem Jeffries. And I think he's right. And I don't think that's just yapping. I think he knows that there are some of those guys who are like, we don't know what we're doing, and this is actually making us look terrible. And I think some of them want to go on the offensive. I think they want to go on the offensive.
I think the only chance of that happening is if you had a Republican who was running for re-election in normally a Democratic district that only got in because it was a midterm last time, and he thinks that would be a good way to show, look, I can work with the other side. These guys are fucking idiots. Don't lump me in with them. I'm a sane politician. Let me come back to Congress.
Look where we are. I don't think that's that crazy to say. Because look, in reality, I mean, it's a wild speculation, right? It truly is. But they are they are so much better in politics on the offensive than they are on the defensive. They don't know what to do. Like, oh, we're in charge now. Let's make some policies. Like, all these policies are shit, and the Senate is not going to budge on it, and the president's not going to budge on it. Damn it. Like, they don't have anything. Their best move, and it's a weird gamble, their best move is to hopefully be able to go on the attack for the next couple of months and try to whittle down support for Trump, or support for Biden and the Democrats. It's what they know how to do. They have sort of cemented themselves into this corner position that they don't know how to govern. They only know how to fight to govern, but they don't actually want to govern. Like they just enjoy the offense. And I don't know. I think maybe some of them have a weird calculation that maybe they think they could.
You're kind of fucked either way though, because either you retain power and you don't bring anything up, and the Democrats can point to be like, look at these guys, they're not fucking doing anything. Or you give the Democrats the gavel, they bring shit to the floor, you vote it down constantly, and then Democrats can still point to you and be like, look, these guys don't want to fucking do anything.
Yeah, but look, here's the thing. You and I know that. All they do is they run back to their constituents in their districts and go, These guys are trying to put in woke fucking blah, blah, blah. They just say the shit. And then Republican voters go, yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm glad you guys stopped it. You guys are awesome. Look, they're going to get shit for like the first 2 weeks. If like Hakeem Jeffries goes, I can't believe you fucked this up and Hakeem Jeffries is in power, blah, blah, blah. For about the first 2 weeks. And then Republicans will do what they always do, is they will fall back in line. And then they'll start fucking lobbing their fucking political bombs at the Democrats, and then that's what they like to do. And I think their voters are happy with that shit.
That works in a primary, though. And if you're in a safe Republican district, like, who gives a shit? Like, you're going to win anyway.
Yeah.
That's not going to help the frontline people that need to look like they're doing something to their constituents to peel off quote unquote independents or like moderate Democrats to have a chance of getting of retaining their seat or possibly flipping seats.
Sure. All right. Let me counter that by saying, do you think the Freedom Caucus gives a fuck about?
No, of course they don't, because they're all in state, they're all in ruby red fucking districts.
Right.
Yeah, they don't give two shits.
Who is heading this? Marjorie Taylor-Greene. She's not in trouble. You don't hear Ted Cruz coming out here and being like, yeah, what's going on down in the House is going to work out. You know why? He's fucking scared for his life, for his political life. He just shut the fuck up. Right? You don't have any of those guys coming down to try to help. You don't have anybody in the House who's a front line, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do it. No. The biggest person you have is somebody who is safe and secure in that fucking district in Georgia. She doesn't care. That's why she came out a couple of weeks ago and was like, look, I'm ready to fucking roll on this shit. You can't blame me. Right? She wasn't just yapping. She was telling you her fucking move. You cannot blame me for what is about to happen. Will she be successful? I don't know. Will she pull the lever? 100%. I think 100% she will fucking try that motion vacate. Will Johnson saddling up to Trump? Will Trump fucking, rally the team and say like,
oh, no. Trump will stand by him until it's not politically expedient to do so. He will kick that dude to the curb so fast it's not even funny. He was a weirdo anyway. He smelled funny. Like have you ever been to someone who's really churchy, and have you been to the house and has that weird churchy smell? Like that's what he smelled like all the time. I didn't like it.
I believe they call it frankincense. Get out of here. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think Trump would save him. I don't think so. I think very much Trump, like you said, is if it's politically expedient, he will toss him. I don't think Trump wants to go up against the Freedom Caucus. That's the thing, right? Or the Freedom Caucus wants to go up against Trump. Like I guess that's the question. Like he needs those psychos, right? He needs them because they do his psycho bidding throughout the party, right? That's why his fucking hands are in everything. If he sees that those guys are like, fuck Mike Johnson, he's probably going to just be like, well, no, that sounds like a House issue. And I think Mike Johnson,
I don't think he cares either way. Like he just wants to win to stay out of jail. Like that's really all he fucking wants at this point. So he just wants to be the president.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if Hakeem Jeffries becomes the speaker before this is all said and done. But what I do know is Marjorie Taylor-Greene will absolutely pull that lever for that motion to vacate.
Yeah.
Will she win on that vote?
Here's what I know. If Hakeem Jeffries does become speaker with the Republicans in control of the House, it would be like, how like Kevin McCarthy getting booted out and Kevin McCarthy taking 15 votes to become speaker was like the funniest thing ever. This would drop dead be the funniest thing you will ever see in House politics for the rest of your life. You will never see a leader from the opposition party become speaker ever again, as long as you live.
No, absolutely not. But I'd like to see it. Like, I'd love to see it in my lifetime. I would love to see it because it would just really show just how dysfunctional they are. And the fact that we can even speculate that this could happen shows how dysfunctional
is insane.
Right. Yeah. Like it should be like, oh, remember that time, Hakeem Jeffries became speaker? What the fuck are you talking about? That's insane. That didn't happen. You're making up lies. No. But it is a real possibility. And again, people like Matt Gaetz are telling you that they are afraid that could be a real possibility. That's insane.
If he becomes speaker, I really hope his address to the House is just like him laughing. Like just standing at the podium and just fucking laughing his ass off.
Like, you guys serious? All right, like I'm about to fuck y'all up for the next couple of months, baby. Like, all right, here is a bunch of bills. Like, yeah, and if they can, if Democrats can like get enough of their shit up there again, even if it doesn't pass, but they get it up there so that Republicans have to knock it down. It looks good for them.
Here's another consideration that we haven't talked about, by the way, too. Have we seen the last Republican, like the last of Republicans piece out early?
That's exactly. And that is something that we talked about before. When Ken Buck said that he was leaving, he said that there's others planning to do the same. Now we got one.
Well, and Gallagher followed him. Like Gallagher was like, I'm out of here too. It's especially if they continue being as dysfunctional and as much of an embarrassment as they are, the people that actually went there to do government that can't because of this fucking clown show in their own party, they might leave early too. Still, like even though we're months before the election, they'd be like, you know what? Fuck this. This is dumb. Why am I here? I'm out of here. Time to go be a lobbyist somewhere. It's gonna be great.
Look, and you're asking the exact right question. Is Ken Buck and was it Mike Gallagher? Are they the last two? I'm not so sure that they are.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure they are.
And especially if they oust another speaker.
Oh, dude, that like ousting a speaker and then in the time where you're trying to choose another one, you get one or two Republicans who are like, I'm out of here. Fuck this. Disaster, dude. Disaster.
Yeah.
And the Democrats could just walk right in and just like, oh, is this your shit? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, is this your gavel? It's my gavel now. Well, sit down. But I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think so. They're so dysfunctional. They hate each other. They all hate each other. So yeah, them. And look, by the way, there's still talk now because of what McCarthy said the other day that there's now reinvigorated talk to boot Gates out. Okay, like. Do it tomorrow. Right?
I don't think he would mind anyway. That dude wants to be governor, so
you're not gonna win. Like, hey, Beavis.
He might. They're fucking weirdos down there.
Ugh. Or I guess he looks more like Butthead, not so much Beavis.
Yeah, he's more of a Butthead guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Gross. All right, next up. And look, the hits keep on coming. Mitt Romney open to voting with Democrats to dismiss the Mayorkas impeachment. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is awesome. So months later, because this happened like 2 months ago, they finally are handing off the Mayorkas impeachment, the Ali Mayorkas impeachment to the Senate to have a quote unquote trial for the high crime and misdemeanor of not doing policy that Republicans liked. And Democrats are openly talking like, hey, this is a fucking farce anyway, so we might just, dismiss this shit out of hand. The House is trying to argue that, like, no, the Constitution says you have to have a trial, which I'm not sure if it does. I don't know what the exact wording is on the impeachment clause. So, but yeah, Mitt Romney's like, yeah, this is a farce, and I might join Democrats because this is stupid.
Yeah, he's basically like, listen, they need to have a chance for debate. So if it says, quote, I don't believe there's a constitutional standard met, right? Immediately, that sentence should tell you everything about what Mitt Romney thinks. I think this is probably bullshit. And he's correct, right? It says, but at the same time, I think the Senate should give a chance for debate, even if it's limited to 2 hours. Okay. So if there's a motion just to table without any discussion, that's something I would oppose. If there's a provision that allows debate, it's something I'd be open to. Hey, Senate Democrats. Cool. I just read the Axios article for Mitt Romney. Cool. Let's have a debate for 2 hours. You guys good? All right, cool. Let's all get out of here. Let's dismiss this shit. Mitt, where are you voting? Yeah. You voting with us? Cool. Thanks. Done. Like, even if you want to table it, just do a 2-hour debate. Give it so you can get Romney's vote and like bipartisan.
Yeah, and it won't just be him. You'll get Lisa Murkowski. You'll probably get Susan Collins. Yeah. Some of the other normie Republicans that are hanging out there, you might get to vote with you as well, just so it's not like a partisan endeavor.
Right.
So
and done, and dismiss this shit because the Mayorkas impeachment makes no sense. You just don't agree with him on policy. That doesn't mean he's
well. No, it makes sense if you're trying to get revenge for impeaching Donald Trump. Yeah, like that's where it makes sense.
Okay, fair enough.
And they realized they couldn't impeach Biden, so they're just like, well, let's just pick a random cabinet secretary that we don't like.
I'm surprised they didn't just go after like Pete Buttigieg. Like, he's making trains run on time. Like,
yeah, like why are you impeaching him? He's gay. Like, we don't like him because he's gay. Like, so we're gonna impeach him. It's a high crime and misdemeanor. Sodomy. Okay, I guess.
Pretty sure that's not gonna work. As they're like,
yeah, what is this? 1870? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, what is this? Arizona? No. Yeah. More on that later. Good Lord. So yeah, give the debate 2-3 hours. Shit, give it a full day. Who gives a shit? And then you get Romney on board. And then just like, you know what? Yep. I'm done here. This is nonsense. I get why they want to just table it and move on because again, it's very stupid. But if it gets you Romney and maybe Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, it's worth doing it. So again, I give it half a day. Like he says 2, I'd bump it up. I give you 5. Who cares, right? I can listen to a bunch of horse shit for 5 hours, and then we vote to shut it down and just move on with our lives. Have you seen this story? I have not. Crazy. All right. These are the type of stories people need to pay attention to going into the election. And this is not about Joe Biden. This is not about Donald Trump. This is about the people that they hire and the policies that they want to put forth. This one is major, major, major. So Trump advisor, his name is Robert Lighthizer, wants to, keep in mind the word I'm saying to you, devalue the U.S. dollar. Like, don't want to raise the value, wants to devalue the U.S. dollar on purpose. Okay? Economic advisors close to the former president are actively debating ways to devalue the U.S. dollar if he's elected to a second term. Not if Joe Biden is, right? Because that's what I thought this was. Like, they're going to plot to, like, fuck shit up, devalue the dollar, and then make it look really bad as Biden's president. No. If Trump is reelected, this is what they want to do. The dramatic move that could boost U.S. exports, but also reignite inflation and threaten the dollar's position as a world dominant currency. So Lighthizer wants to basically, and by the way, he's the architect of Trump's tariff war
of the tariff plan. Yeah.
With his tariff war with China. How'd that go? Really fucked the economy, didn't it?
Well, and Trump wants to double down on that. If you guys forgot what we talked about,
that is correct,
a couple weeks ago, where he actually wants to increase the tariffs that are currently
to 100%. To 100%. Cool. Why don't you just make it 1,000,000%? You know what? Fuck it. Then they can almost $1 trillion. Like, just make a number up to who the fuck gives a shit, right? That's how stupid this plan is. So Lighthizer's plan is to devalue the U.S. dollar, right? And then go to other countries and threaten them with other tariffs so that they will revalue their currency so that we can sell our exports, driving our export costs lower, right? So you export from the U.S. lower. But the problem is when you do that, what likely happens is the import costs for everything else. So here's our dollar value and the export costs going lower, and here comes all the import costs of everything else coming into the U.S. It then becomes higher, right? Also driving inflation through the fucking roof. So all this talk, inflation, right? You talk to the fucking idiot MAGA dude bros, they tell you inflation's at 12% or 17% or some other insane number. It's at 3.8%, or 3.2%. But, don't Google it and shit, right? But it would drive inflation through the roof. Because then you have things that are the dollar in it of itself is worth less. Not worthless, but worth less than it is now. That has global implications, right?
Yeah.
For me, very specifically, as I use the U.S. dollar here.
Yeah.
Please don't do this.
Well, and again, I'm no economist, but I think that smart people sometimes get very stupidly hung up on negative terms and try to fix these problems, and they think they're problems when they're actually not. So the reason for this is because the U.S. has a massive trade deficit as a country, meaning that we buy a lot more goods from other countries than we export to other countries. So we're a net importer, essentially. That would be a problem if our GDP was in the toilet.
Right.
But it's not. Like we're still producing at a higher level than literally every other country in the entire world relative to population.
Correct.
So the fact that a trade deficit merely exists, and it sounds bad because it's a deficit, all it means is that you buy more than you sell to other countries.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as your GDP is still strong, which for the US it absolutely is. So I don't understand why we keep trying to solve this fucking problem of making sure that we're selling more than we're buying. Because it's not a fucking problem. Like, what are you doing?
Again, it goes back to the Johnson-Trump thing with immigration voting. Perception is reality, right?
Yeah.
If we say that this is a problem, if we say it enough, then it's a problem, right? Because this was Trump's thing. This is Trump's whole thing when he wanted to go and start this trade war with China. We have this trade deficit. We have a trade deficit. Deficit. So people, like you said, they hear it as a negative word. And so they go, well, we got to fix that. If you look, what do you think happened?
By the way, this plan is so bad that apparently during the Trump administration, Leitzinger floated the idea to the Treasury Department. And Steve Mnuchin was like, are you fucking stupid? Like, this is a terrible fucking idea. Steve Mnuchin was like, this is an awful plan.
Now, here's the thing. If Trump is reelected, this guy, Leitzinger,
he's going to be the Secretary of Treasury. It's going to be awesome.
He's likely going to be Secretary of Treasury. So who's there to put up the guardrails then? Right? Steve Mnuchin, Bond villain, was even like, this is a bit too far. But what happens when he's not there and this guy is in charge? What happens to the U.S. if because in a lot of ways the dollar is a global currency, right? In many countries, it's like a U.S. dollar. Are you serious?
It is the world reserve currency.
Yes, that is very correct. What happens to the world reserve currency if this happens? Maybe it becomes something different.
About to say, man, welcome the euro as the world currency,
or the yuan, right? Or so it's nonsense. Like, this is a terrible idea. These guys did not learn anything from that tariff war because they didn't have to pay any consequences because the American public paid consequences for that, right? We're gonna pass the savings on to you. I think you mean the bill. I think that's what you actually meant to say.
By the way, if you recall, in this article, this political article writing me, the Trump White House labeled China a currency manipulator.
Yes, it did,
accusing them of devaluing their currency to make their exports cheaper to gain an advantage in the global trade market. So it's okay if we do it, but don't you dare, China, try to exact leverage on your position. So,
and by the way, how's China's economy going? Not great. Not great. And look, I don't think it's actually that crazy to say that China is a currency manipulator. What I do have a problem with is, like, when you do that, like when you say that, like me saying it doesn't fucking mean anything, right? Again, I'm not an economist, so like I could also be talking completely out of my ass. But at the same time, when you do that as a government and you declare them a currency manipulator, it has global implications, right? Because this article actually points out, like, Joe Biden administration did not renew that. They were like, no, because they did not want to continue a tariff fight with China. It's a bad idea. It's a very, very bad idea.
And by the way, I like arguably one of the worst things that this Biden administration has done is not lift those Chinese tariffs since they've been around. They've kept them in place, which I think is incredibly stupid. But because they think it somehow drives more domestic buying. When that's not what drives domestic buying. What drives domestic, like the reason we buy from China and the reason why people buy Chinese goods is because shit costs too much here. Like, it just fucking does.
Yeah.
because people don't make wages that are in concert with inflation growth.
Exactly. And look, I understand the sort of generic thought process that if the goods are cheaper here, more people will buy them. But if you also have to take into account how we deal with corporations here. What do you think wages do if the price of the products are cheaper? You think wages go up? That's not how that works, right?
No.
They will figure out a way to drop wages. And again, let's say, like, just inside the United States, looking at what this would do, let alone on a world stage, which is way more complex and everything else. You devalue the dollar. So people are getting less bang for their buck with the dollar inside the United States, right? Aren't we already having this issue? Isn't this a thing conservatives are already bitching about, right? As it's getting better, but they are bitching about that being a problem right now. Oh, bread costs too much and eggs cost this much. Yeah, look, I agree with you, right? Now you take that, you raise inflation that much higher, right, than what you perceive it to be, but put it where you think it is, right? 7, 8, 10, 14%, right? Raise it up, double it, right? Put it at 7.5%. Inflation drives up, okay? Then, cool, you got all of these cheap goods. That means your wages will come down on all these big corporations. Yeah, sure, if you're a big-time accountant and stuff like that, maybe your wages don't suffer. But you're working in a factory, your wages will fucking suffer. They will 100% figure out a way to make sure they squeeze out every bit of blood out of that rock, right? So your wages come down. Food prices and all that other shit go up. Price gouging continues, and somehow it will get worse, right? Before we can really rein this shit in.
And isn't it funny that, we look at the solution to inflation as, we need to keep more, export goods out of the country and stuff like that. When you could help curb inflation with wage growth and force companies to limit price growth. But, we can't do that to corporations. That would be a bridge too far. So.
Can you imagine, Brett? Can you imagine?
Increase the power of buyers would solve a lot, but, got to let corporations make those record profits.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Right? And it ain't going to be us. So, you have all of that. And then going outside of the U.S., the prices of things being imported to the U.S. then become more expensive. By the way, they become more expensive for Joe Sixpack because the dollar doesn't go as far. Do you understand the fucking ramifications of that? You think an iPhone is expensive now? You think an Android phone is expensive now? Oh, they're $1,000. That's crazy. What do you think it is with this plan? $2,000, $3,000, $4,000? Get the fuck out of here, man. How am I supposed to embezzle from my own company to pay for this? This is insane. So, yeah, it's a nutcase thought process. And all they're thinking of is how do they reduce the trade deficit. They're not giving a shit about the common man and woman who will suffer unbelievably under this plan. Unbelievably. So if you want to talk about what's the worst thing that the Trump administration could do if they're reelected, besides all the authoritarian fucking Project 2025 shit, this is one of them. Because it could have global implications that would destroy the dollar for decades. For decades. Because this shit doesn't just bounce back. You can't just go, we'll just change it and then we'll go back. That's not how this shit works. Once that fucking ball gets rolling and all these other countries, because you're threatening them and everything else, God forbid they actually listen and start doing all these reevaluations of their currency, that shit's already in motion.
Well, and plus you've already called out saying that China has no problem manipulating their currency. There is no bottom for them. They will just continue devaluing Chinese currency to stay on top in trade and laugh at you because they don't give a shit about their citizens. They'll run them into the fucking ground. They already do.
Yeah. You know how many ghost cities they have in that fucking country?
Yeah, it becomes a fucking race to the bottom.
Right. So congratulations. Then what? Right? Is that going to be Joe Biden's fault if he's not president? You gonna blame that one on him? I don't think
that I know what happens is you, me, and Michael and Terrence all pick up and move to fucking France. That's what's going to happen. So.
Peace, guys. France sounds nice. I like the warm weather. Got to tell you, it's gonna have to be the fucking south of France, and I can't afford that. But look, here's just a quick thing in 2023. According to Reuters, China's economy grew 5.2% in 2023, slightly more than the official target. So that's positive. But the recovery was far shakier than many analysts and investors expected, with deepening poverty crisis mounting the inflationary risk and tepid demand casting a pale over the outlook of the year. They are still dealing with inflation even in 2023. And look, they are set to have roughly the same in 2024. So this idea of the raging economy of China, nah, bro. Everybody suffered greatly because of the pandemic. Even then.
Again, remember, because and Republicans won't tell you this, the U.S. arguably navigated the global inflation crisis better than anybody.
To me,
if you look at inflation, yeah.
To me, it's inarguable. Like I don't even think who was making the argument that they didn't, besides Republicans,
because they're idiots. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, they didn't. Based on what? Well, my feelings. Well, facts don't care about you. As a 5 foot tall man once said. Next up, the simmering. I love this title. The simmering conflict between Iran and Israel might be heating up. All right, Brad. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, Israel launched a strike against two Iranian generals, killed two Iranian generals in Syria on April 1st. Okay, so they launched an airstrike, and Iran was mad about that. And Iran a couple days ago countered in kind. They launched an airstrike against Israel. Now, the Iranian airstrike was really not that any airstrike is just kind of like a show of force. Sure. Without any real intent behind it, but this is kind of what that was. They telegraphed it. They announced that it was happening, and U.S. and Israeli defense systems were easily able to knock down all of the missiles and drones, so that nobody was hurt. Okay, it was literally.
I think they got half a dozen or maybe a dozen of their drones got through, but it didn't do really any damage.
Yeah, nothing major happened. So basically this was hey, we're pissed off that you launched an attack against us. We have to do something so we don't look like we're feckless. So we're going to announce this airstrike, and you guys swatted it down easily. And that should be the end of it, right? That as I heard John Lovett say on Pod America this morning, that's literally the tat after the tit, basically. Yeah. So that happens. Well, should surprise nobody that Benjamin Netanyahu was no, I'm mad about this, and now we might retaliate to your retaliation because this is
roll
bullshit.
These fucking tanks, baby.
Yeah. So we might launch shit against you now again because we're pissed off.
Right. And look, Biden apparently called Netanyahu and was knock it off. We will not support you. He was listen, they retaliated based on something that you did. We are not going to support you then trying to double down on this shit. The U.S. will not support you. And you know what Benjamin Netanyahu did? He backed the fuck down. He was fuck, my big brother isn't going to come and save me. And that is the fucking move. That is what you should have done. By the way, I get wanting to respond and letting Israel respond to Hamas because of, what was it, October 7th or whatever it was. I get that. And I think if people are being honest about that situation, there's no way you could have said, don't do anything. That's like telling the United States, don't do anything after 9/11. It's a fucking impossibility, right? You can't. And look, they're going to do what they want to do anyway, but you can't just be we won't support you if you do it. That's just, politically, it doesn't work. Strategically, in the region, it doesn't work. And just realistically, it doesn't work. Now, that doesn't mean you say, take the gloves off and fucking carpet bomb Gaza. That's not what that means.
Oh yeah, fuck them kids. No, that's not.
Right.
That's not.
That's not what you. That's not what we're saying, right? And I don't think that's what Biden was saying either. Though I think he needed to be way more explicit in you need to this needs to be strategic. This needs to be focused and not what did we talk about last week or the week before? 1.5 casualties to every one Hamas.
So yeah, one half civilian casualties to one fighting casualty, or soldier casualty. So.
Right. So he should have been much more forceful, and I think they are well within their right to call him out for not being forceful. But this response, when you talk about like this is a response, I want to see a proper response from a U.S. president. This is it. This is what you should have gotten in the beginning, and this is what you're getting now. This is the correct response. We are not going to support you trying to push into this new war. By the way, Israel doesn't want a full-scale war with Iran.
Well,
Iran doesn't want a full-scale. No, okay.
Israel doesn't, and Iran doesn't. Benjamin Netanyahu absolutely would love a full-scale war
100%
with Iran.
Right?
Yes.
So
he will throw as many IDF soldiers as he can to make sure that he stays prime minister and not potentially go to prison.
Yes, that is a sad truth. It's a sad truth. But Israel does not want a full-scale war with Iran. Iran does not want a full-scale war with Israel, right? Netanyahu aside. Because, one, they're not right next to each other. You gotta like, hey, can we go to your airspace? Is that cool? Can we no, fuck. Like that it's not a thing they can do. What, are you gonna send ground troops through another country? Fuck no, they're not gonna allow that because the shit will spill over into their countries. No way. So that's not going to happen. Iran doesn't have the capabilities to have a full-scale war with the United States. Are you kidding me? We blow them off the fucking map. And I'm not saying that in some like bullshit Captain America nonsense. I'm saying that from a military realistic perspective. They just don't have the fucking reach to go toe-to-toe with the biggest military power that has ever lived. I mean, it's fucking insane. And the U.S. doesn't want to go to war with Iran either. We don't want to be dragged into this shit again. We just got out.
Certainly not in an election year, and just now in general. Yeah.
No, fuck no. So this is a lot of saber rattling. Again, Israel did their shit. Iran was like, again, here's the tit, right? Like, all right, motherfucker, we can't just let you do shit and we don't do anything. Here you go. All right, we're cool. And look, by the way, Biden also came out to Iran and was like, knock it off. Knock it the fuck off, right? You did your little shit. You didn't do anything. Knock it the fuck off. And Brad and I were actually talking before the show. Look, the Israelis knocked down, it was like 300 drones. The Israelis knocked down most of the drones with surface-to-air interceptors, right? And a lot of people were talking about America's direct involvement in this and actually also helping knock down the drones. Here's why nobody really wants to fuck with us, right? And I'm not saying this on like, we're so fucking tough. I'm just saying like, this is just the reality on the ground, or in this case, in the air. U.S. Air Force used F-15E Strike Eagles and F-16 Fighting Falcons that shot down 70 of the Iranian drones. They didn't use surface-to-air interceptors. They blew those bitches out of the sky with jets. Some Top Gun shit, okay? And so I looked up, I'm like, an F-15E, like, that's an old fucking plane. An F-16 is an old plane. Like, I've watched enough Top Gun to know these things, right? And like, yeah, they're super fucking old. Like, the F-15 first went into commission in 1986, okay? Like, Brett, what year were you born?
1984. So when I was 2 years old, they're like, we're going to make F-15.
Like, let's fucking roll, baby, right? So, like, that's insane. And then the F-16 is 45 years old, okay? Like, it's literally older than me. And they were just like, no, this is what we're going to use to beat these things. So if you think that the best thing the U.S. has is a 45-year-old plane, you're out of your fucking mind. That's not it. So this is what they're using to knock down this shit now. Iran's not going to go to war with us because everyone's like, World War III is coming. No, it's not. No, it's not. Again, these guys were like, here's retaliation. All right, cool. Then we got it out of the way. We got it out of our system. We're done. China's not going to go to war with us. The only people who may be stupid enough to try some bullshit is Russia. And the last time I checked, they're busy getting their asses handed to them by Ukraine on our old shit. Nobody's trying to go to war with us. Well, Russia will use a nuke. Dude, there is speculations that their nukes, if they fired them, if they're able to be fired, might not have the ability to leave Russian airspace and may blow up over Russia. You think they want to risk that shit? No, they don't. They don't make.
I don't think Russia wants to do anything to be associated with a nuclear disaster, because that would be horrendous PR.
It would be horrendous PR. It would be horrendous PR and an amazing HBO miniseries, Chernobyl. You should watch it. I directed the shit out of that. But this is like this whole idea, like so much on social media was like World War III. Nah, man, no. China's not going to go to war with us. China's like, dude, we just want to trade. Like, can we just get money?
Yeah,
like,
as I told you before the show, like China would not start a war because China's not trying to fumble that fucking bag.
Nope,
they're not trying stupid.
To. And look, by the way, here's the thing. We just talked about importing and exporting. Here's the thing about China that I just found out this week. China is the #1 importer for food in the world. So cool, no problem. We're going to start a war with you, America. Can we just cut that food right the fuck off? Cool, sanctions, no problem. Boom, yeah. Between Europe and the United States, we're done here. I'm hungry. Okay, you done playing around now?
Oh, you still want these soybeans? You do? Then knock it the fuck off.
Knock it the fuck off. Do you like rice? Because that's the only fucking thing you have, right? So, like, this idea, like, NATO and all these other countries that are not NATO but are sort of like kind of strategic partners.
NATO adjacent.
Yeah, NATO adjacent. They are keeping a global conflict from happening, right? When a global conflict did not happen because Russia invaded Ukraine and the entire world was like, get the fuck out of here. We're going to supply Ukraine, but not with putting boots on the ground, but we're going to supply them with weaponry and shit like that. When that happened and it showed that Russia was pretty much a paper tiger, there is no global war coming, dude. Like, there's not.
Yeah.
There may be
and that's you didn't mention either. Like if Iran or Russia were to try and attack us, it wouldn't just be the U.S. retaliating. It would be like all of fucking Europe retaliating against them, essentially.
Yeah. And guess what? Again, we don't even need them. We don't even need Europe. It's just like, you guys are like a bit closer. Could you like just send a couple planes down there? Like, we wouldn't need them. And so this idea of like panicking over like this is going to spill into a world war. No, it's not. No, it's not. And look, some people think that perhaps the Israel-Iran thing was going to spill over to a big global conflict as well. It's not. You know why? The Saudis. The Saudis have been making deals with Israel. They're like, can we knock this shit off and just trade and get money? We like money. We like money. That's what we like. You want money?
The Saudis do like money.
They love money.
They do. They're trying to get their fingers into literally fucking everything right now. So
yeah, because guess what? That oil ain't going to be there forever.
No.
And they know that. And they know that. So the best thing to do is to be a regional partner with a lot of countries, including people that you may not like. The fucking Jews. But at the same time, trade. Like, religion and all that bullshit dies on the vine when it's like, can we make money? All right, fine. I hate them. But their dollars spend well here, right? They don't give a shit. So they've been making trades. They've had like unprecedented trade agreements with Israel and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons like Iran's going to get pulled into this shit too, right? Like, hey, Iran, knock it the fuck off. Let's just get this fucking money, right? And Iran hates Saudi Arabia too. But again, we're trying to get paid here. Like, we're not trying to just kill each other. We're trying to get fucking paid. And that, sadly, money is actually, in this case, not the root of all evil. It's probably going to help people not to get murdered by bombing them to death. So stop freaking out about World War III. It ain't coming. You know what's coming?
Imagine if they had imagine if they had free flowing global trade markets in Europe during the 16th through 18th centuries. How much less war there probably would have been.
Correct. Like, the history of, I saw it was like Tim Wise or something like that. It's like, you want to know what the history of Europe wasn't like white people, we all get along. He's like, in Europe, the history was us just killing each other a lot. Yeah. Like, that's it.
We really want that land. Like, we're going to take that fucking land.
Right. He was like, the English hated the French hated the Germans, and the Germans hated everybody. Like, which is it. It was it. Just fucking just murdering each other constantly.
The fucking Austrians were over here, just Austrian used to be like the world power, like in a period of time, in relatively recent global history. Isn't that wild to imagine?
Can we just leave us alone? Just leave us alone, please. We're just over here trying to get money. That's it. Like, we're just trying to get money. Leave us the fuck alone. This is a great story, and it has another little mini story in it that I was not aware of. You know how MAGA was so sure that Smartmatic and Dominion were evil and like changing votes and all this other shit? Yeah, it's funny.
I seem to remember zombie Hugo Chavez helping in this effort. So
I believe that did they find bamboo on some of these ballots because they thought it were from China? Oh my God. That's one of the most racist things I've ever fucking heard. It's just like unbelievable. Like, that is next level racist. We found pieces of bamboo. No, you didn't. That's and right. Also, what the fuck does that mean? Come on. Maybe it's from the pandas in Australia. Knock it off. So pro-Trump network OAN and Smartmatic settle a 2020 election defamation case, right? For an undisclosed financial amount.
Oh, I really wish it was disclosed.
Oh, dude, so bad. I want to know so bad. But here's the thing. OAN also settled with Dominion. I was not aware of that. So let me ask you a question, Brett. When you're right, if you said Dominion and Smartmatic, these guys are changing votes, they're pieces of shit, they are performing election fraud. If you were right, would you settle? Or would you, as that company that's been calling out as a news organization, would you scream from the rafters that you got these guys to bend the knee and you proved that you were correct? It feels
I would settle, but then I would blame the globalists for forcing me to settle thanks to the ironclad world order power that they hold over me. Most likely directions coming from the very top.
Yes.
Of course, George Soros is who probably told them to do this.
Of course. Yeah.
Sorry. Parentheses, George Soros.
Let's be fair. Look, I think it's hilarious. This goes to show you that Dominion and Smartmatic were correct, and they proved their case. Now, how much they got, I don't know. But I got to imagine it wasn't $50. I bet it was a lot more than that. I bet it was a lot more. Look, remember, Dominion got $787 million out of Fox News, and they fired Tucker Carlson over it, right? And those motherfuckers dare not talk about the 2020 election in a wild way because they're just like, huh? Every time Dominion's like, say what? Say it again.
Every time, literally every time that they have like Mike Lindell on and he starts on his bullshit, the host literally has to stop and be like, well, we have to remind everybody that, like there is no proof that Dominion voting machines had anything to do with
I know you have to say that. Yeah, we have to say that for fucking financial reasons, bro. Like, we're not trying to get fucking sued again. Holy shit. So they would not have settled with Dominion and Smartmatic if they were right. If they could prove that they were right. And they couldn't because they were fucking lying. So just keep that in mind. The next time somebody says, oh, no, it's not true. The 2020 election was stolen. No, it wasn't. They didn't. The Trump folks, they didn't prove it in court. They lost 60 cases. And two news organizations have now had to settle because they knew that they could not prove this and that those two companies were correct. Smartmatic and Dominion got their asses too. And Fox News. So this is kind of a big deal. God, I need that number to fucking leak. I just want to know what it is. Apparently it's not enough to blow up OAN. I would have tried to find...
That's a shame.
I would have tried to find whatever number to just bankrupt them. Like that would have been my goal. What is it? 600 million? Cool. We would like to sue them for $601 million. Like,
well, no, you asked for 1.2 billion, so that way when they settle, it's for 600 billion, and then that way the
you know what? You're smarter than me. That's correct. That's correct. I was playing by Price is Right rules. Yeah, mistake on my part. But yeah, it's just try to destroy them. Like fuck that company. Bunch of blowhards, get out of here. All right. Next up, Arizona court takes the state back to the 60s, the 1860s. This one's yours.
Yeah, we're back to the courts are all fucked up segment of the show, which seems like a weekly occurrence now, which sucks. So there was an abortion case before the Arizona Supreme Court, and they found that apparently there's a law that's been on the books in Arizona since 1864 that just and by the way, that predates Arizona as a state. Wow. This was when Arizona was just a territory. And it was just a law that was never enforced. But the Supreme Court's like, yeah, right, we should actually just, use this law to stop abortions from happening in Arizona. So the law says that doctors can be prosecuted for performing abortions on women unless the procedure is necessary to save the life of the woman, and it could carry a prison sentence of 2 to 5 years for any doctor or anyone else who assists in the performing of an abortion in the state of Arizona. And that's the law in Arizona now. Now, the law hasn't gone into effect yet. It should be happening in the next couple of weeks. Here's a quote from the decision from the Arizona Supreme Court. Quote, physicians are now on notice that all abortions, except those necessary to save a woman's life, are illegal. So, cool. And it's funny because, like, Republicans in and around Arizona immediately started speaking out against this law because they realized they fucked up. Mm-hmm. And it was especially funny to hear it from Carrie Lake, who was like, "Oh, like this is too extreme. Like this law should be repealed." Blah blah blah. When they found tapes of her when she was running for governor in 2022, I think it was, where she referenced this law and was like, "Oh, the law's already in the books. Like we just have to get it happening. And we're going to protect all the babies. It's going to be fucking great."
Again, the memo has come in that they know they cannot talk about this shit because they're going to lose. Well,
here's what's funny. So in the same different case, but same concept around the same time that this ruling was announced, the Arizona Supreme Court also ruled that abortion could be placed on the November ballot as a ballot initiative for a constitutional amendment in Arizona. It seems like bad news for Republicans. I got to tell you, all the way around.
Disaster. Look, Biden won Arizona just barely last time. You ready to get your ass fucking stomped in, Donald Trump? Because you're going to. And
it's funny because so state legislatures were pressured by Democrats to repeal this law that's on the books, this 1864 law, and Republicans are dragging their fucking feet right now. I'm telling, like if any Arizona Republicans are listening, and I know you are, it is in your extreme interest to get this law repealed as soon as possible, because you really don't want to go into November with this on the fucking ballot next to your name, because people are going to remember who fucked this up when they go to vote, and it's going to cost you big time, especially as you have a Senate seat open right now that you're trying to make sure gets filled by a Republican.
This is just fucking insane, right? Like this is the 1864 is when this came about.
Yeah, during the Civil War.
Bro, slavery wasn't abolished then.
It's the truth.
Slavery wasn't abolished.
You could still own a person in when this law was put on the books.
So it's no abortion except for the case of the life of the mother.
It's to save the life of the mother. Yes.
What about rape?
Nope. No exceptions. Oh, come on, Jay, you think they're putting a rape exception in 1864? Get the fuck out of here.
I just want to clarify.
So incest, no.
Oh, I mean, come on. It was just written in West Virginia. Yeah, I mean, okay. All right, guys. I saw what's the senator from Arizona? Used to be an astronaut.
Gabby Giffords' husband, whose name I can't remember. It's really embarrassing that he's literally a sitting senator. I'm like, it's Gabby Giffords' husband, of course.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm important too. Something.
Mark something. I can't remember his last name.
Damn it. God, he's a fucking astronaut, you idiot. Mark Kelly.
I know. He's a senator,
too. We are the worst. Okay. Mark Kelly immediately. Senator from Arizona.
There you go.
He came back from the moon, for God's sake. Mark Kelly immediately came out. He was like, this is a terrible idea. No one should support this. I mean, Mark Kelly's obviously a Democrat, but he was like, this is a terrible idea. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, this is the easiest thing to get in front of all time. Of all time. Yeah. Again, even Carrie Lake is like, I got to get in front of this, even though I supported it. I got to get in front of this because
as soon as he saw this, like Ruben Gallegos was like, this is really bad, but also at the same time. Like we're gonna make those Play-Doh sticks,
dude. Strike up the band. We're going to work, baby. Like, come on, man. It's easy. It's easy. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.